You're here because you want to be better. A story about fear, failure, and true success. You're here, right now, listening, because something inside you refuses to settle. You didn't click on this video by accident. You didn't stumble in here just to pass time. You're here because you want to be better. You want to become someone greater than the version of you that woke up this morning. And let me tell you this, that desire, that fire, it's rare. It's so rare that 99% of people never even light that spark. They dream, yes, they wish, sure, but they don't move. They don't act, they don't commit. But you saw a future in your mind, a vision. Maybe you didn't tell anyone about it. Maybe you didn't write it down, but you saw it, you felt it. You saw yourself winning. You saw yourself rising above the noise. You saw yourself changing your life, changing your family, maybe even changing the world. And if that's true, if you've ever felt that, even for a second, then congratulations. You're already 10 steps ahead of the world. Because most people don't see their success, they only see their fear. They only hear the voice that whispers, what if you fail? What if they laugh at you? What if you're not good enough? But let me ask you this. What if Michael Jordan was afraid of missing shots? He would have never taken them. What if Steve Jobs was too afraid that people wouldn't like his ideas? There would be no iPhone, no revolution in our pockets, no legacy to speak of. The truth is, every great story, every success, every breakthrough, it started with someone standing in your shoes, someone who had every reason to quit, but didn't. So let me talk to you, not as a speaker, not as a narrator, but as your future self. Let's say it's 10 years from now. Let's say you made the leap. You tried, you failed, you tried again, you failed again, but you didn't stop. You lost sleep, you lost some friends, you lost some comfort, but you gained strength, you gained fire, you gained the ability to get up one more time than life knocked you down. And now you're living that vision you once only dreamed of. You're standing on the mountain you once thought was too high, and you're smiling because you know the truth. It was worth it. Every tear, every scar, every lonely night, it was all worth it. But let's rewind. Let's come back to today, right now, because the hard part isn't dreaming, it's starting. The first step is always the scariest, because it's when the voice of doubt screams the loudest. Who do you think you are? You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. You're just a regular person. Stay in your lane. But I want to tell you something that could change your life forever. That voice. It's lying. It's not trying to protect you. It's trying to trap you. Fear is a master of disguise. It shows up wearing concern. It pretends to be logic. It pretends to be humility. But what it really is a thief. A thief that wants to steal your future. So here's the choice you have to make. Not tomorrow. Today. Do you want to live your life being afraid of failure? Or do you want to live your life in love with success? Because you can't have both. One will always win. And whichever one you feed, grows. Let me give it to you straight. There are two kinds of people in this world. The first kind, they fear failure so deeply that they build their entire life trying to avoid it. They play it safe. They never leap. They watch from the sidelines. They survive. They make it through. They blend in. They live quiet, comfortable lives and die with quiet, aching regret. Then there's the second kind. They fear regret more than they fear failure. They know that failing hurts, but wondering what could have been hurts more. They know that rejection stings, but never trying bleeds the soul, so they jump. Even if they land hard, even if they get bruised, even if people point and say, "See, I told you not to try." They jump anyway. And do you know what happens? Eventually they fly. Now, people will throw statistics at you. They'll say, only 1% make it. Only 1% become top partners. Only 1% stick to their goals long enough to see them through. Only 1% of gamers become pros. Only 1% of couples stay together through everything. Only 1% make it in business. And you know what I say? Good. Because it doesn't mean you only have a 1% chance. It means you can't act like the other 99%. You can't move like them, think like them, quit like them. You have to go above, go beyond, because success isn't for the comfortable, it's for the committed. Let's do something real right now. Look around. You look at your life, your room, your phone, your relationships, your choices. Now, be honest. Are you living like the 99%? Are you playing small because it's safe? Are you letting the fear of failure paralyze you? Or are you going to make this moment the turning point? Because yes, if you go all in on your dream, you will fail. Maybe not once, maybe not twice, but 10 times, 100 times, 1,000. But that's okay, because failure isn't the end. It's not even the opposite of success. It's part of it. It's the training ground. It's where your character is built. It's where your skin gets thick, where your soul gets tough, where you realize, I'm still standing. And one day, it all pays off. One day, when you least expect it, success shows up, quietly, without warning, and suddenly, all the rejection was worth it. All the doubts, all the lonely nights, all the fear. You look back, and you smile, because you'll finally understand. You were never meant to be like everyone else. You were always part of the 1%. You just had to prove it to yourself. Let me take you back to a moment that changed everything for me. I was walking down the street on a quiet afternoon. You know those days that feel like nothing special, like any other day, but deep down, something feels different. That was one of those days. I was in my own head, thinking about all the things I hadn't done, the business I never started, the people I hadn't reached out to, the chances I didn't take. I was replaying all my almosts and maybes and not yets, like a broken record. And then I saw him, an old man, maybe in his 80s, walking with a cane. His back was hunched, his steps shaky. Every inch he moved seemed like a battle with gravity. And as he tried to cross the road, his foot caught the edge of the curb, and he fell. I ran over, helped him up. His hands were thin and trembling, his eyes a soft gray, like the ocean on a cloudy day. He gave me a weak smile and thanked me. "Thank you, young man," he said, dusting off his pants. "Getting harder to walk these days. Maybe you should rest." I said gently, "It might be safer to sit down. Walking seems dangerous." He paused. He looked at me with something in his eyes that I still can't fully describe. Not anger, not pride, not defiance, but truth. Then he said something that I'll never forget. "I'd rather walk and fall than sit and rot." That one sentence hit me like a THUNDERCLAP. I asked for his name. He said it was Robert. Then I asked something else, something that felt almost too personal. "Do you ever get scared of falling? I mean," he smiled. "Of course I do. But you know what's scarier? Regret." He patted my shoulder and added, "Living alone, at my age, it means you get to choose. And I choose to move, even if I fall, even if I don't make it across the street, because falling hurts. But sitting still and watching the world pass you by, that kills." He turned and slowly walked away, tapping his cane on the sidewalk with each uneven step. I never saw him again, but Robert, he lives in my memory forever. That conversation, so simple, so quick, it turned my whole worldview upside down. You see, I had spent my life thinking that being scared of failure would protect me, that if I feared embarrassment, or losing, or being wrong enough, I'd avoid it all. That if I studied hard enough, prepared long enough, waited patiently enough, I'd succeed without falling. But Robert showed me the truth. Fear doesn't protect you. It paralyzes you. It wraps itself around your dreams like a blanket, comforting at first, but suffocating in the end. Let me ask you something. How many times have you said no to something you wanted just because you were scared? How many times have you kept silent when your heart was screaming to speak? How many times have you played small so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable? How many dreams did you bury under the sentence, "What if it doesn't work?" And here's the thing they don't tell you when you're growing up. Success doesn't come to those who are fearless. It comes to those who move despite fear. There's a dangerous myth out there. The myth says, play it safe, and you'll win. Go to school, get the job, do what everyone else is doing. Don't stand out. Don't ask for too much. Keep your head down, blend in, smile, nod, pay your bills, stay quiet. But have you ever looked into the eyes of someone who lived that myth their whole life? I have. And what I saw wasn't peace. It was pain, a kind of pain that's hard to explain. It's not loud, it doesn't scream, it just lingers like a dull ache in the bones of their soul. Because even though they avoided failure, even though they never risked it all, they lost something far greater. They lost themselves. That's why Robert's words broke me open. He wasn't afraid of falling because he loved walking more than he feared the fall. He had chosen joy, chosen movement, chosen a life of I tried instead of I wish I had. And I realized, that's the kind of life I want. A life where I try, where I fall, where I get back up again and again, because falling is just a chapter. But giving up, that's the end of the story. So if you're listening right now, if you're on the edge of something big, something terrifying, something uncertain, I want you to hear me. You don't need more time. You don't need more advice. You don't need more approval. That you need courage. Not the loud, dramatic kind. Not the kind you post about on social media. I'm talking about quiet courage. The kind that wakes up early, even when it's easier to sleep in. The kind that works in silence while others scroll and complain. The kind that dares to say, yes, I'm scared, and I'm doing it anyway. Let me be honest. You will fall. You will fail. You will feel like giving up. People will talk behind your back. People will roll their eyes at your dreams. People will ask, who do you think you are? But none of that matters, because every fall is a step forward. Every scar is proof you're in the arena, not sitting in the stands. Every setback is just setting you up for the story you'll one day tell. Let's go back to Robert one last time. Let's imagine that today is your 80th birthday. You're alone, no crowds, no cake, just you, a chair, and your thoughts. What kind of life do you want to remember? One where you never got hurt, or one where you truly lived? One where you stayed safe in your comfort zone, or one where you pushed, stretched, grew, fell, and got back up? The truth is, you already know the answer, and I'm here to remind you that the path to that life starts today, not tomorrow. Now. So take the step, fall if you must, but fall forward, because the moment you stop letting fear lead is the moment you start living a life worth remembering. The 11th time, why success belongs to the ones who keep going. Let me tell you something nobody told me when I was younger. Success is not about being the smartest. It's not about being the most talented. It's not even about being the most passionate. Success belongs to those who are willing to fail 10 times just to win once. That sounds harsh, doesn't it? You might be thinking, 10 times, that's too much. That's exhausting. Why should I even try if I'm just going to fail again and again? But I want you to sit with this for a moment. What if I told you that failure, true, deep, gut-wrenching failure, isn't the opposite of success? It's the price. It's the tuition. It's the gym where your character is built. The forge where your courage is tested. The valley you walk through before you reach the mountain. Picture this. A man wakes up one day and decides he wants to change his life. Maybe he's tired of being broke. Maybe he's tired of feeling invisible. Maybe he's tired of breaking promises to himself. So he starts. He's excited, hopeful, energized. Day 1, he's all in. Day 2, still strong. Day 3, slipping. By day 7, he's back where he started, and the voice in his head says, see, I told you, you'll never change. This is just who you are. And because he failed once, he stops. But what if he had kept going? What if he had failed 10 times and kept showing up anyway? Because here's the thing, that 11th time, that's when things start to shift. That's when the weight starts to feel lighter. That's when the habits start to stick. That's when the world begins to notice. But most people never get to the 11th time. They stop at 3 or 5 or 7, not because they're weak, but because they believed the lie. The lie that says, if I failed this many times, it must mean I'm not meant to succeed. But that's not true. Do you know what it means? It means you're in the process. It means you're learning. It means you're stretching. It means you're human. Let me be real with you. Every successful person you admire, every name you look up to, every legend you quote, they all failed, over and over again. Michael Jordan, cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah, told she was unfit for television. Walt Disney, fired for lacking imagination. J.K. Rowling, rejected by 12 publishers. And yet, they kept going. They didn't stop at 10. They pushed through to the 11th, and the 12th, and the 100th. If that's what it took, they weren't lucky. They were relentless. So let's make this personal. What if the version of you've been dreaming of, the strong, confident, successful version, is waiting for you on the other side of your 10th failure? What if everything you've been through was just preparation? What if nothing was wasted? Not the heartbreak, not the job loss, not the rejection letters, not the loneliness. What if it all led to this moment where you decide, once and for all, I will not quit, not now, not at 10, not until I reach 11 and beyond. I want you to imagine something. Close your eyes if you can. Now picture yourself 1 year from now. You've kept going. You've worked in silence while others doubted you. You've stayed consistent while your friends gave up. You've cried in the dark but still showed up in the light. And now, you've made it, not to the final destination, because there's no such thing, but to a new level of yourself. You're stronger, wiser, calmer, clearer. You look back at the you from today and say, thank you for not quitting. That's real, that's waiting for you, but only if you keep going. Let me tell you what changed me forever. It wasn't the first win. It wasn't the big breakthrough. It was the failure that didn't break me. The time I fell and said, okay, that didn't work. What now? The moment I realized, this isn't the end. This is the next chapter. That's what made me dangerous. Not because I was perfect, but because I wouldn't stop. You want to scare your doubts. You want to silence the voices in your head. Then keep going. Nothing confuses the enemy more than the person who refuses to stay down. So let's rewrite the story. Let's flip the script. When they say, you're failing, you say, good, I'm getting closer. When they say, why don't you quit? You say, because I've only failed 10 times. Success is next. When they say, it's too hard, you say, that means it's worth it. Because here's the truth. Your life is a book, and every failure is just a page. The end hasn't been written yet, and you hold the pen dot. So if you're hurting right now, if you're tired, if you feel like giving up, let me talk directly to your soul. Don't you dare stop. Don't you dare believe the lie that says it's over. You've come too far. You've grown too much. You've got more in you. You were built for the 11th time. You were made for it. So get back up, breathe, take another step, and when it hurts, remember this: success belongs to those who are willing to fail 10 times, just to win once. And once you win, nobody will ever question your scars again. Let me ask you something simple, but life-changing. What if you're closer than you think? What if that breakthrough you've been waiting for, crying for, grinding for, is just one more step away? Just one more early morning, just one more late night, just one more yes when your body screams no, just one more time you don't quit. Think about that dot, because sometimes the most dangerous lie isn't that you're not good enough, it's that it's still too far away. You need years before you'll see results, that the dream is still too big, the road still too long. But listen closely, most people give up right before the miracle, right before it starts working, right before the momentum kicks in, right before the universe opens the door and says, you're ready, let me take you somewhere. Imagine a miner digging through rock day after day. They swing their pickaxe, they sweat, they bleed, they get blisters, their arms ache, their spirit aches more. For weeks, months, even, they see nothing but stone. Then one day, they stop, too tired, too discouraged, too defeated. They turn back. What they never realize is that behind the very next strike, just one more swing was gold. Rich, gleaming, life-changing gold, but they never knew because they quit too soon. Now, let me ask you, how many times in your life have you stopped digging just inches before the gold? Maybe you started building something beautiful, a business, a relationship, a passion, and it didn't grow fast enough. It didn't feel good enough. It didn't get the validation you hoped for. So you told yourself, it's not working, and you stopped. You walked away from something sacred, just because it took longer than you thought. But here's the truth. The dream doesn't always bloom on your schedule. Sometimes the seed takes longer to sprout. Sometimes life tests your patience before it blesses your efforts. But what separates the few who make it from the many who don't is simple. They stay, they wait, they keep digging, even when the results are invisible, even when everyone else walks away. Have you ever boiled water? The heat rises, 1 degree at a time. Nothing seems to happen for a while, but something is happening. You just can't see it yet. Then finally, at exactly 100 degrees Celsius, the water boils. That's how success works. It looks like nothing until it's everything. But here's the painful part. Most people turn off the fire at 90 degrees Celsius. They don't wait for the boil. They think, this is pointless. So they stop, not realizing that with just a little more heat, a little more time, the whole pot would have erupted with energy and power. So I ask again, what if you're closer than you think? What if the door you've been knocking on is about to open? What if the person you're becoming is almost ready? What if all this pain, this waiting, this confusion has actually been preparation? See, life doesn't delay your breakthrough because it's punishing you. It's training you. It's sharpening your focus, building your resilience, teaching you to own your future, not just dream it. It's not saying no, it's saying, not yet. Because when you finally arrive, when you hit the breakthrough, you won't just touch success, you'll be strong enough to hold it. But let's get real. Waiting hurts. Trying again and again can feel hopeless. Putting your heart into something that no one sees, that no one claps for it, feels like screaming into a void. There were nights I sat in my room, hands on my head, heart full of doubt, asking myself, why do I keep doing this? The videos with no views, the messages that never got answered, the dreams that felt like burdens. But somewhere in that darkness, a quiet voice whispered, keep going. You're closer than you think. Let me tell you something about the world. The world respects the ones who keep showing up, even when it doesn't clap, even when it doesn't care, even when it tries to break you, because eventually it has to notice. Consistency is louder than talent. Discipline is more powerful than inspiration. And the person who shows up day after day, through fear and fatigue and failure, they don't just build a life, they build a legacy. So here's your reminder. Don't you dare give up now. Not after everything you've survived. Not after everything you've built. Not when the fire is almost boiling. Not when the gold is inches away. This is the chapter where most people leave, but not you. You're not most people. You're the one who finishes what they start. You're the one who keeps swinging the pickaxe. You're the one who boils the water, because you understand the truth. The best things in life don't come easy, but they do come to those who don't stop. So stay in the fight. Hold the line. Keep your eyes on the vision that brought you here. And if the road feels long, remember, you're closer than you think. There's something no one really tells you when you start chasing your dreams. No one tells you about the pain. Not the pain of effort. Not the pain of hard work or sleepless nights. I'm talking about the deep pain. The kind that lingers when everything feels heavy. When it feels like no one sees you. When it feels like you're giving everything you have, and it's still not enough. Let's be honest, it hurts to try and fail. It hurts to care and get rejected. It hurts to believe and still not see results. But here's the thing that changed everything for me. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the teacher. Pain is the place where strength is born. I want you to think back to the hardest moment of your life. Maybe it was a breakup. Maybe someone you loved walked away. Maybe you lost something, or someone you thought you could never live without. Maybe you were alone, in a room, crying into a pillow, trying not to make a sound. Or maybe you just felt empty, not broken, not screaming, just hollow. If you're like me, you probably ask the question we all ask when we're suffering, why me? And in that moment, the silence is the loudest sound in the world. But listen closely. That pain, it wasn't the end of your story, it was the middle. And the middle is where the power starts to grow. Here's what I've learned. The people who go the farthest aren't the ones who never break. They're the ones who break and heal. They're the ones who cry and keep walking. The ones who lose and still get back up. Because pain doesn't destroy them, it rebuilds them. Let me tell you a story. There was a time in my life when I lost everything. Everything I thought I had. Relationships, plans, goals, it all collapsed in one season. I was in my room one night, lights off, phone off, blinds shut. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want anyone to see me. I remember sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall, and saying to myself out loud, this is it. I can't come back from this. But then, and I don't even know where it came from, something inside me whispered, or maybe, this is where you come back stronger than ever. It was quiet, but it was real. And from that moment on, I started to understand something. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. I started writing again, not for likes, not for validation, just to heal. I started walking, just small steps, around the block, around my pain. I started waking up earlier, not because I was motivated, but because I wanted to take control of something, anything. And slowly, quietly, that pain turned into power. Not because it went away, but because I stopped running from it. I sat with it, I listened to it, and I let it make me new. Let me say this directly to you. If you're hurting right now, you are not weak. If you're crying right now, that's not failure. It means you care, it means you feel, and it means you are alive. Don't run from your pain. Don't numb it. Don't bury it. Use it. Let it shape you. Let it sharpen you. Let it soften your heart and harden your discipline. Because every great warrior was once broken, and every strong soul has a chapter They don't talk about the nights they almost gave up, but they didn't, and neither will you. You see, we spend so much time trying to avoid pain, but what if the pain is exactly what we need? What if the storm is what teaches us how to steer? What if the scar is the most beautiful part of your story? Because scars don't mean you're damaged. Scars mean you survived. And if you survived that, whatever your that is, then what makes you think you can't rise again? Here's the real truth. You can take every ounce of pain you've ever felt and turn it into power. You can let every betrayal build your backbone, every rejection become redirection, every heartbreak shape your hunger, but only if you choose it. Only if you look pain in the eye and say, "You don't define me, you refine me." The world will try to tell you to hide your hurt, to toughen up, to move on, to keep smiling. But I'm telling you, feel it. Don't skip the process, because that pain, it's the reason you'll succeed later. It's the reason you'll be able to help someone else. It's the reason you'll stay humble. It's the reason you'll be able to appreciate joy when it comes. So stop trying to escape the fire. Become the fire. If you're listening to this right now with tears in your eyes or a lump in your throat, I want you to know something. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are becoming every day. With every breath, you are becoming the kind of person you once only dreamed of being. And this pain is your transformation. It's not in the way, it is the way. So rise. Let me ask you something. When you look in the mirror, who do you see? Not just your face, not your haircut, your skin, your eyes. I'm talking about you, the real you, the one that no one else sees, the one that lives behind the smile, the one that lays awake at night, wondering if they're enough. That version of you, the one filled with dreams and doubts, with scars and silence. What do you really believe about them? Because here's a truth most people never realize. The world doesn't treat you the way you are. It treats you the way you think you are. You see, everything starts with identity. Before action, before goals, before habits, it begins with the story you tell yourself about who you are. And most of us, we're walking around with broken stories. We say things like, "I'm just not confident. I always mess things up. I'm not creative. I'm not like them. I'm not enough." And every time we repeat these lines, even silently, we reinforce the chains that keep us small. But here's the good news. You wrote that story, which means you can rewrite it. Let me tell you something. I wish someone told me when I was younger. You are not your mistakes. You are not your trauma. You are not your past. You are not the failure you experienced. You are not the words they said about you. You are not the moment you broke down and cried in secret. You are more. You are potential, pressed down by fear. You are light, hidden under years of silence. You are strength, disguised as self-doubt. You've just forgotten who you are. Have you ever seen a lion raised among sheep? It forgets it's a lion. It walks like a sheep. It fears like a sheep. It obeys like a sheep. Until one day, it hears a roar, its own roar echoing in the mountains. And everything changes. Because in that moment, it remembers, I was never meant to follow. I was born to lead. And just like that lion, there's a roar inside you too. But you've spent so long listening to everyone else's voices, you forgot the sound of your own. So let's get practical. How do you change your life? Start by changing your identity. Don't say, "I'm trying to be better." Say, "I am someone who never quits." Don't say, "I want to be confident." Say, "I am someone who speaks with purpose." Don't say, "I'm not that strong." Say, "I'm becoming unstoppable." Because the brain listens, your soul listens, and the story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. Let me be real. I used to think I was broken, too awkward, too sensitive, too late. I believed I was always going to fall short, that maybe greatness just wasn't in my blood. But I was wrong. What I didn't realize was that my past had been shaping a weapon. Every heartbreak made me more compassionate. Every loss made me more focused. Every failure sharpened my edge. And slowly, painfully, I rewrote the story, not into some fairy tale, but into truth, that I am not here to impress. I am here to impact. That I am not here to survive. I am here to rise, and you are too. Let me ask you again, when you look in the mirror, who do you see? Is it someone barely hanging on? Or is it a warrior in the middle of their training? Because the way you see yourself determines everything. The way you show up, the way you speak, the way you love, the way you fight. And if you don't believe in your own strength, how can anyone else? But here's the truth that nobody tells you. You don't need permission to become someone new. You don't need someone to say, now you're ready. You don't need a certificate, a title, or a green light. You just need to decide, this is who I am now, and I will live like it until the world catches up. Because once you shift your identity, the world has to follow. And no, it won't be easy. You'll still have doubts. You'll still hear old voices. You'll still feel afraid some days. But courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is choosing a new identity. Even when the fear is screaming. It's waking up and saying, I may not have arrived yet, but I know where I'm going, and I know who I'm becoming. So from now on, I want you to stand in front of the mirror with your head high. No more shame, no more I'm not enough. Look yourself in the eyes and say, I am becoming the strongest version of myself, and nothing can stop me. Because that's the truth. You are not who you were. You are not who they said you'd be. Are who you decide to become. And today is the day you start becoming. There's a kind of work that nobody claps for. Nobody sees it. Nobody shares it. Nobody says, wow, I'm so proud of you. It's the work you do in silence, when no one's watching, when the lights are off, when the world is asleep, and your heart is still awake, chasing something bigger than what today gave you. It's waking up early, even when you're tired. It's pushing through a workout when your body wants to rest. It's sitting down to study, to build, to write, to learn. When your mind is begging for distraction, that's turning down the easy path because you know it leads to nowhere. This kind of work, this is the real work, and it's the difference between those who wish for success and those who become it. Let's be honest, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants the life, the love, the success, the freedom, but very few are willing to do what it takes when nobody is watching. Because it's not exciting, it's not viral, it doesn't get applause or likes or praise. It's boring, it's quiet, it's thankless, but it's also where you build yourself. Have you ever seen how bamboo grows? In the first year, nothing. Second year, still nothing. Third, fourth, fifth year, no visible growth. But during those silent years, something powerful is happening. Underneath the ground, the roots are spreading, deep, wide, strong. And then, suddenly, in year 6, the bamboo shoots up, growing over 80 feet in just 6 weeks. That's not magic. That's foundation. And that's your life. All the effort you're putting in right now, the journaling, the workouts, the therapy, the practice, the late nights, it may feel like nothing's happening. But trust me, your roots are growing. And when it's time, you'll rise so fast people will call it luck. But you'll know it was the unseen work done in the dark that built your light. We live in a world addicted to attention. We measure worth by numbers, followers, likes, comments, claps. But let me tell you something. The most powerful transformations happen in private. Your confidence, built in silence. Your discipline, built in silence. Your peace, built in silence. Your mindset, rebuilt, broken, tested, and strengthened in silence. And that's why when you finally show up in public as a stronger version of yourself, people won't understand. They'll ask, where have you been? And you'll smile, because you'll know you've been building. Let me ask you something real. Can you keep going even when no one is cheering? Can you stay consistent when no one notices? Can you clap for yourself when the room is empty? Because those who succeed in the light are the ones who mastered the dark. There were days, I won't lie, I wanted to quit. I looked around and saw people passing me by, their pages growing faster, their voices louder, their success arriving sooner. And there I was, grinding in silence, feeling invisible. But I kept showing up. One more video, one more workout, one more hour of learning, one more day of choosing not to quit. Not because anyone saw it, but because I made a promise to myself. I will not give up on the person I'm becoming. And that promise saved me. Let me speak to your soul for a second. If you feel like your work doesn't matter, it does. If you feel unseen, you're still growing. If you feel like giving up, don't. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're not forgotten. You're just in the root phase. And when the world finally sees what you've been building, they'll call it sudden success. But you'll know it was years of silent strength. So here's what I want you to do. Keep showing up when it's boring, when it's hard, when it feels like no one's listening. Keep showing up, because the version of you you're working toward, that future self, they're counting on you not to be perfect, not to be fearless, but to stay in the game. You don't need the world to believe in you yet. You just need to believe enough to keep going. And one day, Not too far from now, someone will say, "How did you do it?" And you'll smile, remembering the silence. You'll remember the quiet mornings, the lonely nights, the days you fought without applause. And you'll say, "I built this when no one was watching." There will be a moment, maybe it's already come for you, or maybe it's just around the corner. A moment where everything in you wants to stop, where every thought whispers, "It's not worth it," where your heart is tired, your hope is small, and your dreams feel far. It's the moment you feel like giving up. And if you're human, truly, deeply human, that moment will come more than once. Let's not pretend. Motivation fades, discipline wavers, and sometimes the weight of your own expectations starts to crush you from the inside. You'll look around and think, "I've been trying for so long, why am I still not there?" You'll see others celebrating wins, and you'll feel like a failure, quietly clapping for people who got to the finish line, while you're still stuck at mile 2. But let me say something loud enough to drown out the doubt. You're not stuck, you're just in the middle, and the middle is messy. The beginning is exciting, the end is inspiring, but the middle is where the real ones are made. The middle is where doubt screams the loudest, where quitting seems noble, where silence feels permanent, and it's where most people walk away. But not you. You're different, because you understand something most don't. One more step can change everything. I want to tell you something personal. There was a day, I remember it vividly, when I almost quit this journey. I was sitting in my room, hands in my hair, heart in my throat, staring at everything I had built that still wasn't enough. The voice in my head said, "You've done your best. You gave it a shot. No one would blame you if you stopped now." And I believed it for a moment, but then something shifted. A smaller, quieter voice whispered, "What if the breakthrough is tomorrow? What if the thing I've been chasing is just one step away? What if I walk away now and never know?" That thought haunted me more than failure, so I stayed. Just one more day. Then that day, something changed. Not everything, not overnight, but the energy shifted, and I realized success isn't about massive leaps. It's about one more step again, and again, and again. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to keep moving, even if it's slow, even if it's messy, even if it's hard. Because one more step forward, even with tears in your eyes, is still progress. And most of the time, that's all it takes. Think of the mountain. Climbers don't get to the top in a single sprint. They take one more step, then another, and another dot, and sometimes they fall. Sometimes they rest. Sometimes they scream into the sky, wondering why they ever started. But they don't turn around, because they know the view from the top will make every painful step worth it. So if you're in the dark right now, if you feel like quitting, if your heart is tired and your mind is heavy, I want you to remember this. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to cry. But you are not allowed to give up. You didn't come this far to stop now. You didn't fight through all that pain just to walk away. You are stronger than you think, closer than you know, and braver than you feel. This moment, this right here is where it counts the most. So take one more step, even if your feet are shaking, even if your faith feels thin, even if you don't believe in yourself today. Borrow belief from this story. Borrow belief from me, because I see you. I know how heavy it feels, but I also know how powerful you are becoming. And I promise you, if you take one more step today, you'll be proud of yourself tomorrow. You don't have to run. You don't have to leap. Just stand up. Take a breath and take one more step. That's how you win this. That's how you keep going. That's how you become the version of yourself that you've been dreaming of for years. One more step. Let me ask you a question you might not have heard in a while. What would the child you once were think of the person you were becoming? Not the person the world sees, not the version polished for social media, but you, the real you. Would they be proud? Would they say, "That's who I always hoped we'd grow up to be"? Would they smile and whisper, "We made it"? Or would they look into your tired eyes, your quiet fear, your shrinking dreams, and ask, "What happened to us?" See, somewhere along the way, we stopped dreaming like we used to. Life happened, bills came, people left, dreams got delayed, hearts got hurt, and little by little, we began to trade wonder for worry. We began to shrink ourselves to fit into boxes. We started listening to what the world told us was realistic. We stopped believing in magic, in possibility, in our own fire. But here's the truth, you might have forgotten. You still owe that kid inside you. everything, because they never stopped believing in you. That kid, they saw no limits. They believed they could be anything, a singer, a superhero, a scientist, a leader. They danced like no one was watching. They loved without fear. They laughed without filters. They cried when it hurt and stood up anyway. That kid inside you didn't worry about being too much. They didn't try to blend in. They wanted to shine, and deep down, they still do. They're still in there, watching, hoping, cheering you on from the shadows. You may not see them in the mirror anymore, but they're there. They're the part of you that keeps waking up even when you're exhausted. They're the voice that whispers, "Don't give up." They're the spark that ignites when you're doing what you love, even for a moment. And they're waiting not for you to be perfect, not for you to have all the answers, but for you to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. I know life's been heavy. I know there have been days when you didn't recognize yourself, when you looked around and thought, this can't be it. But I want to remind you of something powerful. You were born with purpose. You were born to feel deeply, to love boldly, to dream fearlessly, to rise again and again. You are not meant to just exist. You are meant to live. And that version of you, the brave one, the dreamer, the wild-hearted kid, they're not gone. They've just been buried under fear, under heartbreak, under the need to be realistic. But they're still there. So today, do something small. For them, write the book, sing the song, start the project, take the trip, speak the truth, say I love you, say no when you mean it, say yes to yourself for once. You don't need to fix your whole life overnight. You just need to show that kid inside you that you're still fighting, that you haven't given up, that you still believe in something more. Let me tell you something I wish someone had told me. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are not broken beyond repair. That kid you used to be, they don't want you to be perfect. They just want you to try again, to take the next step, to believe in the impossible, to keep reaching. Because when you move toward your dreams even slowly, you begin to honor the child who first imagined them. Look, I know some days are hard. Some days you feel too tired to try, too disappointed to care, too anxious to hope. But those are the days you need to remember most. You were never meant to give up. You were never meant to settle. You were never meant to spend your life wondering what it could have been. You were meant to live it, fully, boldly, messily, bravely. So tonight, when you're lying in bed and it's quiet and the world has gone to sleep, close your eyes and picture that child version of you. See them smiling. See their eyes full of light. They're waiting for you. Don't let them down. Not after everything they've been through to get you here. Not after all the nights they dreamed about who you'd become. You owe it to them, to you, to keep going. This is not the end, it's your beginning. So here we are. You've made it to the final chapter. Maybe you didn't think you would. Maybe you almost quit back in chapter 3. Maybe you cried in chapter 5. Maybe chapter 7 hit too close to home. And maybe, just maybe, you're still not sure you're ready. But I want you to know this. The fact that you're still here means everything. It means you haven't given up. It means some part of you still believes. It means you're stronger than you give yourself credit for. And it means one more thing. Something I need you to hear loud and clear. This is not the end. This is your beginning. See, the world will try to tell you that the story is already written, that the cards are dealt, that you've missed your moment, that your dreams are too big, or too late, or too unrealistic. But they are wrong, because today, right now, in this exact moment, you are holding the pen, and you can write something new. You can write a story where you rise, where you speak your truth, where you fall in love with life again, where you take up space, where you walk into rooms like you belong there, because you do. You can write a story where you let go of what broke you, where you forgive yourself, where you stop apologizing for who you are, where you create something beautiful out of your pain. You can write a story that honors everything you've been through, and still dares to believe the best is yet to come. Because it is, it always is. But listen, the journey won't be perfect. You'll still fall down. You'll still get tired. You'll still have nights where you question everything. But now, you'll know how to keep going. You'll remember that your pain has purpose, that your silence can shape strength, that your fear is not your future, and that the version of you you're becoming is worth every tear, every step, every ounce of effort. Let's not sugarcoat it. Life will test you. It will ask, do you really want this? It will throw obstacles at you. It will whisper doubts. It will wait for you to fold. But here's what you say: I've come too far to give up now. Say it again: I've come too far to give up now. Because you have. You've survived days you thought would break you. You've walked through storms that tried to drown you. You've carried weights no one else could see. And through it all, you kept moving. You kept showing up. You kept believing, even if just a little. You kept the light alive. That's not weakness. That's power. Let me tell you something from my heart. I don't know your whole story. I don't know every scar or every secret. But I know this: you matter. You matter so much more than you realize. Your voice, your heart, your presence in this world. It is not an accident. It is not replaceable. It is not small. And the fact that you're still here, fighting, healing, growing means that the world hasn't seen the best of you yet. So what now? What happens after the final chapter? Simple. You live. You step into the life you've been building, one quiet, courageous day at a time. You walk forward, not because you're fearless, but because you've learned to keep walking anyway. Trust your journey. You own your story, and you build a future that would make your younger self cry with pride. This isn't goodbye. This isn't the end. This is day one of a life where you know your worth, where you chase your dreams, where you rise from pain and stand in your truth. So breathe deep, smile softly, and take one last look behind you, not with regret, but with gratitude, because everything that brought you here, every detour, every heartbreak, every lonely night, it wasn't a mistake, it was the path. And now, it's your turn to run. I believe in you. Even if we never meet, I believe in you. Because anyone who made it this far, anyone who dared to feel this deeply, fall this hard, and rise this many times, that person is unstoppable, and that person is you. So go. Live like the miracle you are. And when doubt comes knocking, say it one more time: I've come too far to give up now.